Welcome back to Reality 101, everyone. My name is Dr. Molly.
And I'm Dr. Rule.
And today we are rehashing and analyzing Married at First Sight, season 16, episodes 19 and 20. We're back for another double episode because we have double of nothing to talk about in these two episodes. How do you feel about it, Dr. Rule?
Look, we're in the humanities and the social sciences. Math is not necessarily my forte, but I know that 0 times 2 is still 0. So that's where I am about it. But at least we finally got to the first half of decision day. So we can at least talk about if our predictions were correct or not. I think more or less they tracked, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, and for everyone listening, again, we are also covering TLC's Love in Paradise, and we are finishing up season 4 of 90 Day Fiancé the other way. Both have been really interesting so far. And if you are interested in listening to those, 90 Day Fiancé the other way is on our free feed on Spotify or wherever you get podcasts. I think we're on over 12 different platforms. And then you can also listen to Love in Paradise on our YouTube channel. You can also watch videos on our YouTube channel. And you can also watch and listen on patreon.com/RLTY101 podcast. And our YouTube is youtube.com/RLTY101. We're also on social media.
That's right. Of course, we are on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Our handle for all 3 is going to be at RLTY101, and we support your support of us. Please check in with us there. Let us know what other shows you would like us to cover, and if you want ongoing coverage of Married at First Sight. After this, disaster of a season, I would say we're very much on the fence about if we want to continue coverage. So that's going to be the place where you can let us know, are we your source? Are we the ones that got you through? Do you need us for next season? Or are you giving up on this show and think we should too?
Yeah, and there's also some really great content that's coming out on TLC. So I don't know if you saw it, Dr. Roll, but there's something like a matchmaking show for people abroad that just...
Yes.
Yeah, and then there's the new Before the 90 Days coming out, which I'm sure we will replace with, our 90 Day the Other Way coverage. There's a lot of really good stuff. I know some of you people out there are going crazy over the Vanderpump Rules finale. It has made me, I'm going to watch the finale. And then from there, I will judge if I want to watch every season up until that point. But there's a lot of good content right now. And unfortunately, Married at First Sight is just not some of that content. I'm really disappointed.
It's just not there. It has been boring. It has continued to be boring. The editing, we'll get there. But let me know too, one show that's on my docket that I have not started but is on my to watch list on my roster is Farmer Wants a Wife. I think that's what it's called. Let me know if you've seen that. Anyways, that sounds like it is ripe for analysis, let's say.
As we like to say in academia, there's a lot to unpack. But I have not seen this, but I did grow up in a farm adjacent community and I grew up in the country. So I feel like I might have some things to say. I can already hear and tell that there's gonna be a lot of whiteness. So yeah, I think that would be interesting. The summer is up to you all, right? Like, I'm super interested to see what people are watching over this summer. I know it's nice out, so less people are indoors watching things. Like, is this an opportunity for us to slow down our watching? I doubt it. We're watching these things no matter what. But, again, even if you don't watch these shows, you can still listen to our podcast. There's a number of podcasts that I listen to that are recaps that I don't watch Below Deck, but the analysis of other people watching Below Deck is very entertaining on my commute. And if you don't want to listen at all, but you still want to support Black and Indigenous feminist public scholarship, did you know that you can go to our Patreon and you can donate resources $1 a month just $1. I don't even know what else you would spend just $1 on, but I think that public scholarship of Black and feminists, Black and Indigenous feminist folks would be a great way to spend $1 a month. And so please head over to Patreon, or you can access our Patreon through any of our social media links as well.
It's true. You can't even get a Coke at McDonald's for $1 anymore. They up the price. But you can, of course, support Black and Indigenous public scholarship. And we really support your support, and it helps us continue to do what we do. So yeah, with that said, should we jump in? I mean, so
Yes.
we're talking about episodes 19 and 20. This is the day leading up to D-Day, and then the first half of D-Day. So the premise is that they divide all of the couples for their last 24 hours so that they have time to, sort of reflect on their own. And yeah, I think we have a little bit of content from immediately before then as well.
Yeah, and so I actually want to start. So, I mean, we usually kind of start with episode 19, but since, 20 was D-Day, it's all going to blend together. I know we usually end with them because they're the juiciest, but I actually wanted to start with Kirsten and Shaq. Because last episode, I forgot to mention, or the last podcasting episode that we released, I forgot to mention that there was a moment when Kirsten's mom came to the apartment of Kirsten and Shaq, right? And she made audible what I had thought was going on, but I wasn't quite sure, which is that they live in a house of tension, of very serious tension. And her mom has, it's just stuffy in there, right? And her mom has these really great lines where she says, you have to let all your expectations go. Your partner is always going to let you down. Expect to be let down, right? Love is an exercise in failure. And I felt, right, again, that she was very perceptive. She picked up on the stuffy energy, but I saw a light bulb go off in Shaquille, where he was like, not only like, Kirsten has been putting me under these extreme expectations, and also love is a failure. It is okay to love and to lose. And for that reason, even though we're on the cliffhanger, I do believe Shaq is going to say no on D-Day.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm totally with you. I think there's no world where Shaq says yes. If he says yes, that's going to be the most exciting thing that's happened all season. Okay, let's say that. Of course, we see Kirsten say yes. She has changed her tune about Shaquille. She has come all the way from not liking his bald head to wanting to stay married to him. But, I don't know. We can analyze that. Do you think that she's really falling in love with him? Do you think that she really appreciates him for who he is? Or do you think that it's more about her, investment in the institution of marriage and not wanting to go through the divorce?
I think it's absolutely the latter. I think that she was like, I took all my walls down. I did all of this emotional labor on her part to open herself up and let these walls down, right, as they say. And I think she's like, I made an investment. I might as well pump it out with him. I also think that we did this through kind of her attachment style. Like, she actually needs to be physically touched. She needs reassurance, like she needs the forehead kisses. She needs that quality time that she's always asking for. I think she's like a very, what is the word? What's the attachment style? It's the opposite of avoidant, but I don't know, attached. She's
like anxious attachment?
Yes, thank you. Anxious attachment style. And I think that she also really needs, I think she might have a little bit of codependency. So I think that she's like, okay, well, I'm just used to Shaq coming home every night. And I think she likes the routine of that. I mean, that's actually something that I picked up on through everybody, that they all said something like that. I know I'm ready for marriage because it's been really nice coming home to somebody. Everyone thinks it's nice to come home to someone. That's not intrinsic to marriage. That's intrinsic to companionship. And yeah, I mean, of course she likes it. She changes her tune. I can't believe she reiterates that she was like, I didn't like him at first. I wasn't attracted. But she says specifically in her narrative, that my attraction for him built based on his character. And I take that, I'm like, okay, but it still says she did not validate that she finds him physically attractive. I think she started to see him through, like, he'd be a good dad. He'd be a good father. He'd be a good spouse. He's a good son-in-law to my dad. I don't think that she has, like, I don't think that her heart is palpitating when she sees him. No.
Yeah. I agree. And of course, we also see the reemergence of this power couple narrative that the matchmakers, Dr. Pepper and Pastor Cal, really want to happen. It's interesting because I felt like with them in particular, I saw the matchmakers like not want the failure to happen because it almost seemed like it reflected on them. Like they did a bad job matchmaking if the couples don't stay together. I felt that as they were talking about Shaquille and Kirsten. And of course, we don't know the actual outcome. We don't know if he says yes or no yet. But I just felt that energy from them. They were like, they make perfect sense because they're going to be a power couple. We've talked about sort of the fallacy of the power couple model, and especially what that means when put on, you know, two Black-bodied people who are successful. Not necessarily a power couple does that make. So yeah, I mean, literally their tagline is, you know, we put them together because they're both religious and successful at their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I just see incompatibilities all over the place.
I totally agree. And we just dissected this myth of kind of the Black power couple, or just power couples in general, and it being rooted really in capitalism, in production, and external validation. And I think their relationship really lays bare that it is about external validation, because again, it never once did she say, I find my husband attractive. I love and value that he's an educator. I'm interested in his work. It's no, I fucked up. I should have just gone because I caused a lot of conflict. Like I should have just gone to Memphis. It wasn't like, wow, you're really helping youth, right? Let me read your work. Like there's a certain love language that I don't think she's picking up on. And again, it's because I think she's just invested in having like someone that quote unquote matches her potential. And I can say, I'm sure maybe you do too, Dr. Rule, but I know people personally who are in toxic marriages and committed relationships who do not want to break up, specifically because they're like, well, how would it, like, we fail, how would it look if, you know, we broke up, or, you know, we're both doctors, or, you know, we're both attorneys. Like I know people like this, and it is completely rooted in what will others say.
Yeah. And it's interesting too. I feel like it came through in maybe one or two episodes where, you know, she took Shaq to the kind of house that she would like to live in. And they talked about the kind of car she would like to drive and her expectations of him financially. And then it seemed like that totally fell out. But, you know, I don't know. It raises the question of the edit, because I feel like that was actually an important misalignment of values. You know, and it's not to put any value judgment on her and what she values versus what he values, but it just seems like there's a misalignment there because those material things are not important to him. And we have this one episode where they're sort of jam-packed in there and presented as important to her, and then we never hear about it again. But I think it's an issue at play that's not talked about, but I think it's running through their relationship.
I completely agree. And I don't think there's a lot of there. And so when they're having their final conversation on the bed together, you know, he says he's not at 100%. She says that she's not. I don't think she is either. She just doesn't want to be rejected. And, you know, just as a general note, I'm loving, this is the first season that they've given all of the people who are in question an opportunity to like basically steal the show, except for the Shaq and Kirsten. So for instance, we have Jasmine who gets to say no first. We gave Clint the opportunity to say no first. I thought that was key for those two relationships.
Yeah.
Of course, both of their partners made sure that they were like, well, it would have been a divorce for me too. So that's totally Like, remember the good old days when you didn't know the other person's answer?
Yes.
Like,
Where it was really a toss-up.
it was really a toss-up. Or yeah, Dr. Rule doesn't watch Love is Blind. Everybody.
Sorry.
Okay. But if you're on our Patreon, you could see what just happened. You could see the video recording of what just happened. Did Coco do a somersault through the air? Did Shaquille just run through wearing nothing but a towel? There's no way to know, but you're not on Patreon. But Dr. Rule's okay.
I'm fine. There was a little incident that happened, little crash bang. Everything is okay.
And
Little
Shaquille was great.
ASMR. And
Hi,
chicken is
Shaquille.
fine.
Also, did I just call your cat Coco?
You did. That can
How did
be
I do
her alter ego. Chicken.
Ooh, it's
Coco.
when she's feeling sassy. Love you, chicken. So yeah, I mean, they're not okay. What was it going? Oh, I was going to say something about Love is Blind. So Love is Blind, right? They get to the altar and they get to say if the I do's or not. And I love Love is Blind because they continue to keep us in question about the other person. The other person doesn't answer usually after they say no. So
see, okay, and like this is my whole thing, and maybe this is why this is a challenging topic for the show. Like, I feel this way about engagement proposals too. Like, what kind of relationship are you in if you're proposing to your partner and you don't know that they're going to say yes?
yeah.
Like, where is your communication?
Yeah. Where
like to use our refrain from our analysis of 90 Day Fiance, what have you been talking about? Right. So, I mean, it shouldn't be a toss up. Like, people should go to decision day and be like, yeah, we have fully discussed that we're staying together, or we have fully discussed that we're not. And then, of course, the entertainment value is who's going to be toxic and like throw a wrench into it, right? That's what'll make it a show. But if we're actually talking about healthy relationships, like, I just don't think it should be a guessing game.
It shouldn't.
It's wild to me.
It is wild. And that's why 8 weeks is not enough time to decide if you want to be in a relationship. But more to the point, 8 weeks is not enough time for two people with communication issues to try to dissect the other person's communication style and then move forward in a healthy and open way. We always say Jins on this show. Clint and Gina and Eris and Jasmine, they spent the first 3 weeks, and what is that? Almost 40%, almost half the time, 40% of the time, not talking because they got pissed because somebody said they didn't think the other person was hot. Like,
correct.
Yeah. So really they're starting, and Eris talks about that, which we'll get to, but they're starting from this deficit. And I don't know, I wouldn't be a good candidate for this show because I'm just so direct.
Yeah.
You just end this, like, you don't think I'm hot.
Oh, this show is getting on my nerves, honestly, because too,
it is.
Like even with not to switch couples, but even with Chris and Nicole, who, come on, like, we know they're a shoe-in, right? And we know that if they were not going to say yes, that would have been teased from like episode 1. Yeah. All right. We knew that they were going to stay married. They stayed married. They both agreed. But last episode 19, there was this whole like, well, now that I'm by myself and I'm away from them, I don't know, like, do I want to stay with them? Am I just saying yes because I don't want to hurt them? Is that what I really want? Come on. This is all just like stupid editing for the show. They're saying yes. Like, stop making drama where there's no drama.
Yeah, they teased that to us, and then he was referring to someone else.
Yeah. It's fake.
That was repulsive to me. And then they did it again with Eris teasing the D-Day episode when he said, I mean, we were intimate, it felt good. And they made it look like they had sex and that they're trying to put us on the fence. And that is not what happened. The editing is so spliced, like, it's taking reality TV to a whole new level of, like, it's not even entertaining.
No, it's misleading and infuriating.
And the people on Reddit are really mad about this.
I'm really mad about
I
this.
know you are. You can see your pupils spinning. There's flames coming.
My eyebrows are getting really high. Well, okay, look, I wasn't going to say it quite yet until we went through all the couples, but I'll just say it because we're at a natural point where it's come up. I just want to know, Dr. Molly, who asked for 3 additional episodes after D-Day? Nobody. Nobody wanted it. I wanted it to end. I was like, thank God we made it to D-Day. We can see all these people say exactly what we know they're going to say, right? And then we can move on with our lives. No, 90 Day, or not 90 Day Fiance, Married at First Sight decided, oh, now we want to follow them after so we can see their lives. I don't care. I'm over it. I
No.
don't want to see these people anymore. But you know what's coming. The kiss. The kiss is
Yeah,
coming.
and I'm so, yeah, I don't want to see them go on more manufactured dates.
No,
The season's done. I don't want to watch these people anymore.
I'm not like personally invested in them. I was invested in the experiment, and
Yes.
then we can see the outcome, and then it's over.
The only thing I'm going to proposition you, Dr. Rule, is that maybe we take a Married at First Sight season off. That's Denver one, but the Chicago one that's coming out, which will be next summer, is all queer couples. So I would say maybe we could pick that up, but I'm furious. So I also wanted to mention, right, since it's coming up naturally about just editing in general, is in episode 19, we have this manufactured experience where the women are all out celebrating their last night together, and then these men saunter up, hey, who are somehow mic'd up, and they're like, oh, hey, you guys look really great. And did you notice how one of them is the boxing instructor from the previous scene with Mac and Clint?
No, are you for real?
The same guy. And so I'm like, either y'all are PAs or they just hired you guys you guys got the day rate. And someone, oh, we were, Jasmine might crack, so go lure her and try to get her, and then say, I don't dignify the scene. Like, it was so manufactured. And then of course, what's her face? Nicole standing in the middle, like,
Oh my
we
God.
are all married. And I'm like, sis has to be in the middle. I literally wrote, makes herself the center of every situation.
Yeah. No, I did not notice the carryover from, that one particular individual, because let's be honest, I was listening to this episode and not totally watching with my eyes wide open because it is boring. So I didn't even notice, but you know what? I didn't even miss anything, right? Except the manufactured details, because again, nothing happens. Nobody leaves with any of these gentlemen. Right. Like nothing happened.
I know they're all on camera, no one cares. It was so weird too. They were like on a stage, but no one else was in the place. And
Yeah.
I was like, enjoy your free drinks, ladies. Like it was
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Maybe we can kind of like naturally move on to, or I wanted to mention really quick about Shaq and Kirsten, right, in episode 19. We see them go record a song together. I can't tell you what her voice sounded like because I became so uncomfortable at the first note that I fast forwarded through her singing.
Okay. I have to say, I'm so glad you brought this up. One of my favorite things about reality TV is when they make reality TV people record music. It's a recurrent theme. When the housewives come out with singles, when they go to record songs about, their love experience. Oh my God, I just love it because it's so bad. It's always so bad. And yeah, it was horrible. It was atrocious.
And Shaq was laughing, and they go into this like white lady's cottage.
But she did have a bunny that was like a free range, free roaming rabbit in the house, which I thought was cool.
Really, I was going to say that is some white people shit.
I thought it was a cute animal.
Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, it was super adorable. Did you know that rabbits are, because I wanted a cat, but my son is allergic. Do you know that their bunnies are more high maintenance than dogs or cats?
That makes sense to me because they have a cage.
Well, not little bunny, not little friend.
Yeah. Well, but like, right, like I don't think they can hold it when they have to use the bathroom.
That's what I was
So
thinking too. That's what, we need to suss out. That's why I was like, this is some white people stuff. But anyways, she had several white rugs, so I'm sure the bunny is trained.
can you train a bunny? Okay, let us know. Write to us, somebody that has a rabbit, let us know. I don't think you can train them. That's my bet.
Really?
I don't think so.
I have a good friend, Carrie, who is has a PhD and she does animal studies. So let me ask Carrie.
Okay, Carrie, we need to know. Can you
Carrie Lawson,
can you train a rabbit to use a pee pad or to use a bathroom outside? We need to know.
We'll ask. Wow.
Okay, final thing about Shaq and Kirsten.
Yes.
Okay, did you like Shaq's suit for D-Day?
No, in the words of one of the Redditors, he looked like the Joker.
What was he thinking?
My
What was he thinking?
My booze fall from grace.
What was he thinking?
I was thinking a nice khaki. I felt maybe all black would have been too formal for an outdoor setting, but even give me a button down. Okay, since we're all out of orders, can we talk about everybody's outfits really quick?
Yes, we can. But I have to say, Shaquille, too many primary colors.
Yeah, we love you, but call us next time.
What were you thinking, man? You've been well dressed.
He had another blazer in another scene that was black. It was tan, and then it was black, dark blue, or black on one of the sleeves. So I think he got a 2-for-1 with the color blocking blazer. I know.
I'm not anti-color block.
No, we're not. We're not.
I'm anti. I'm looking at this thing here in my house that is from Ecuador. It was Ecuadorian colors. It was yellow, blue, and red. It was like the Ecuador color block suit. Why? Why, Shaquille? It was a miss.
The words of Bobby Burke from Queer Eye: flags are not interior decoration, and they shall not be worn on clothing.
and then Kirsten, like, you look nice. No, you don't. Don't lie. Okay. You haven't been attracted to him. Now is not the time. Unless this is the reason, unless this is what she's been wanting the whole time. I don't know. Okay. Yeah. Let's move on.
Okay. Really, just about outfits. It's really.
Yes.
Okay. So I actually have no notes on Kirsten's outfit. She already wore one shoulder blue satin number that was shorter. Mm-hmm. I have said this, I know we're not talking about bodies. I think Jasmine has a banging body. So really anything that she wears, I think looks good. It was not my taste. And she continues to style her hair in a very 90s way. Not even 90s, because that's kind of in right now. It's very 2000s. It's just very muted. It's very her.
Yeah. I didn't love Kirsten's outfit. It had that like extra piece of fabric.
It was, no. Okay. So, just really quick rapid fire. Who was the best dressed woman and who was the best dressed man?
Okay. I really liked Gina's overall look.
Okay.
Like, I felt like her skills as a hairstylist really came out. Like, I can't even tell you what she was wearing because I was just looking at her hair, but I just thought that comprehensively, Gina looked great.
Okay.
And Dr. Pepper was like, you look so sexy.
I know. I was like, oh, damn, girl. DP. I actually disagree.
Okay.
They had like a recording, or Gina was self-recording earlier that day, and they had a picture of her or a video of her with no makeup. And I was like, wow, she looks so pretty. And it reminded me that I continue to think that like Gina needs to Coco Chanel herself and just take one thing off. Like just take the blush color down one color, like one shade, or like everything just gets a little too gaudy for me. The color itself, the green, looked beautiful. Like her body's great, she looks great. I actually thought that Nicole was the best dressed woman.
Good for Nicole.
I love a pink. We're both wearing pink. I don't know if you've noticed, but that's our favorite color on this podcast.
We are having a pink day.
We have two modes. It's pink and purple.
And black.
And black. So if you ever see us, we are just either to a funeral or we're going to a birthday party, a child's birthday party. But I think we're going to agree that Clint looked great.
Yeah. And, you know, Clint was dressed for revenge. Okay.
He looked
Clint
hot.
showed up. We haven't even talked about them. Obviously, they said no. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody.
Yeah.
We'll get there. But Clint specifically was like, I've been told that I'm unattractive.
Yeah.
I've been told that I have gingery features.
Yep.
My hair has been made fun of. I've
Yep.
been told that I have no swag. I am going to look good and make Gina regret her life choices. And yeah, he looked great.
Yeah, he looked like a hottie. I was happy for him.
Mm-hmm.
Happy for him. He looked great.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought Nicole was really great. Everybody else was pretty forgettable for me. Well, Shaq was not forgettable, but for other reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Interesting that you thought Clint looked so good and I thought Gina looks so good. And actually, maybe this is a good segue to talking about them because, you know, I think that there's another world where they could have been fine. I
Yeah.
think there's another world where their marriage could have worked.
Yeah, so in episode 19, we have them horseback riding. And I just want to really quickly say, Clint is hilarious with animals. Like, Clint's dialogue with animals, when he says to the horse, he's like, what do you eat for breakfast? You look like a yogurt guy. Like, I think it's really goofy. She hates that shit, obviously.
He does.
Yeah, and I actually had an aha moment when they were on the picnic blanket after the horse riding, where I thought, I think that she's seeing someone. I think that she
Really?
is emotionally with someone. She is so closed off. All she does is do her little talking points. Clint says that she's just in her room. She's at work. She comes home. There's no engagement. I was like, I think that she either, maybe she's not like dating or fucking somebody, but I think that she has someone already, you know, and that happens a lot on these shows, right? Like the timing of it is that they meet someone or whatever, but she's so close. I've never met someone who's more, or like seen someone on TV who's more shut down. And she said during decision day, she's like, this reiterated for me that I do, in fact, or that I'm ready for marriage. And I was like,
Yeah.
are you delusional?
Well, okay, like the $1 million question is that person McKinley?
Yeah. I think they're, again, drumming. I don't trust them anymore. My trust is broken. So I just think they're drumming it up and I think there's nothing there.
No, you don't think anything? They would go out with each other because also on episode 19, we have McKinley come back again. He's again in the gym. I think he lives in that building. He's working out with Eris, and his whole thing is he just talks about how good looking Gina is.
Yeah, and then see, again, editing, then there it's revealed that he wasn't actually trying to slide into her DMs. He was trying to meet up with some singer that she knows or something like that.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think maybe you're right. And yeah, it's sad. Like the flashbacks for Clint and Gina are kind of sad because I think that they could have made it work. Dr. Pepper and Pastor Cal try to give them the prize for most amicable divorce ever. But that was interesting to me because even though they kept talking about how they're just in the friend zone and they like each other and they get along and they have fun, but they're just friends, I did not see friendliness. I felt, maybe it was the editing, but I felt like animosity between the two of them. Like I felt like they dressed to impress one another and be like, this is what you let get away. Like, you should have been happier to be paired with me. You should have come at me more aggressively. You should have done X, Y, or Z thing. And that was your mistake. And now, like, you know, you're going to pay for it. And that's not friend zone behavior. That's not mutual respect, friend zone. That's like feeling some type of way.
No, yeah, I sense some serious bitterness. I don't know. I think like Clint's like too good of a guy, but I think he was like, my time was wasted.
Mm-hmm.
And I see it because I also think that she loves that she has something that he wants, which is the dog. I think she loves having that bargaining chip. And now they're teasing next week that there's going to be a custody battle over it, which there's not going to be, but he offered $10,000 for her dog. And by the way, like, doesn't this just mean that when she's working her like 13-hour days that Hank is just home alone?
I don't know. I
'Cause that's the
mean,
vibe that I got when he was like, I'm with Hank all day.
that's true. But she also seems like the kind of person that would take the dog to work. If she's the salon owner, she could do that.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, okay. So I did have a chuckle moment to myself because, again, when the experts are talking about why they put each couple together, they're like, we brought Gina and Clint together because um they're both like hardworking individuals and they come from humble beginnings. And I was like, did Clint come from humble beginnings? Like, okay, that's an interesting read on that. And then he's like, yeah, I offered her $10,000 for her dog. I don't know. So
Well, you're
that was
forgetting.
very weird to me.
You're forgetting that he went through a very serious time when he was younger where his feet were really big and he had a hard time on the soccer field. Okay.
Yeah, he struggled to play soccer.
So check your privilege, Dr. Rule.
Humble beginnings. Feet are disproportionate to body size.
Okay, do you have anything else to say about those two?
No, except that I can't wait to see Clint kiss Dominique. That's it. But really, I can wait because I've waited for months and, I'm not even excited anymore.
Yeah, I know. I hate that for you. Let's do Nicole and Chris. I literally have one thing to say.
Go ahead.
Everything happened that I thought it would.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, it was like fake drama that maybe they were not going to be together. Maybe that Nicole's insecurity was going to get in the way. Yeah, right. They're together. They're going to stay together forever. Dun dun.
I mean, the only thing I'm thinking of is like in episode 19, again, when the PA plants come and approach all the women, they're saying something about, they're like, her husband's the nicest guy, and they're referring to Chris, and they're like, he's definitely like an Omega, and there's some casual homophobia from the group of guys that are like, oh, like what about being an alpha? Don't you want an alpha? And I'm like, do you think along these lines, Dr. Rule? Like, this is a real question.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that, where they were like, he's a beta, he's a grown ass.
Oh, a beta, yeah.
No, I do not think along those lines. Do you?
I obviously don't, because I just called him an Omega. I'm just naming random Greek letters. Like, I just have never
Greek letters.
No. Okay, you know what? This is not a podcast that lifts up European linguistics or language. It's not at the center of our analysis, so I don't know what this is.
No, a beta, because then I think it was Nicole, or maybe it was somebody else. She's like, well, if you put two betas together, they kill each other, like the fish. It was a very weird moment. No, again, that whole thing was just like so manufactured. It doesn't even warrant really reality TV analysis. Like, it was so obviously fake.
I don't have anything to say, and I don't have anything to say about D-Day. Nothing was revealed to me. It was the same talking points. I want you to do more for yourself, Chris. Okay, Nicole, I want you to feel more reassured. I love you. And we know that they knew it was going on because she would have come in with like in a ball of like it, or I don't know. She just would have come in a ball of anxiety. And she was very reassured and very settled. And I'm sure he spent the entire night texting her, hey baby, are you okay? I'm okay. Don't worry, I'm gonna say yes. So
yeah. Look, if Chris had said no, that would have been, no. Like, there was just no world. We would have had it teased. It would have been teased for the last like 10 episodes.
Well, they would have had to construct an entire season, like a narrative that led up to that point. And they
right. No, because they were boring and not boring like bad for them, but they were just boring to watch because nothing happened. They were just like a nice normal couple, and there was no rocking of any boat ever.
I mean, I know it's problematic to say, but I think they were banking on her being more inflammatory.
Is that problematic to say? I think you're absolutely right. Like, I think that she was billed as this sort of like emotionally volatile, hot-tempered person, and she was paired with the nice guy who's billed as passive and accommodating. And yeah, I mean, we have to think, okay, we have to think about the construction of the show. They put people together not only because they are matched together, but because they're suitable for television, right? I mean, it's possible that there are additional couples that could be made into pairs through that whole matchmaking process, but who just don't make it onto television, right? And yeah, I think you're absolutely right that that's part of why they brought her on.
Yeah,
Or brought them on, because they
yeah.
seem opposite, but they're not really.
I thought they thought that she was gonna chew him up and spit him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is the worst thing that happens? Like, she makes him wear a dinosaur costume to breakfast, and he's like rolling his eyes, and he's like, "Okay, honey," and that's it. That's what happens.
Nothing.
I called you thick once.
I have nothing else to say. Like, I don't know.
No. They said yes.
It said yes. Okay, what about Eris and Jasmine?
Okay. Okay.
I know, we're like, so I thought in episode 19, by the way that they had started to react or interact, that I thought that they were having some sort of physical intimacy, actually. We learned in that episode that Eris used to be a CO, and I was like, oh, okay, I don't know. Mass incarceration, but whatever. And then he did say with his meeting with the experts that like she soothed his social anxiety. They help each other come out of their shell. If nothing else, they're not evil to each other. I was like hoping that after this night at the bar, they would go home and like do something, but I guess not. And nothing happened. They both said no.
Yeah, like it was also just like a fizzle and die out. It wasn't explosive. It's not like by the end of it, Eris was like, "She is my soulmate. I love her." And she says no and rips his heart out. Like, they were both just like, "No, this has not been working for a long time." And yeah, like you're a good person, but no.
Yeah, and he's a hard person to read, and I think that he's actually a hard person to edit for them, because at first he was getting like all that bad editing about being hypersexual, and then it was like, oh wow, he's like really shifting, and then I think he misarticulated himself. I don't know why I'm always going to bat for him, but he misarticulated himself when he said that, basically insinuated that she didn't have self-love.
Yeah.
Today. I don't know what that was about. And then he goes and he like, I think maybe he was a little immature around sex. And I also don't think that he likes sex as much as he says he does. But I don't think he's like a bad person. Then he was just like, oh, well, I was hoping that married sex would be great. And I thought that it would be like, do this, do that, lift your leg up, like go harder, go fast. I'm like, I just see that as something like little boys say. And I think that he just misspeaks sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah, I have not been a huge Eris fan the whole season. Like, he has a really flat affect, and like I think I have felt bad for Jasmine the whole time, because she just really seems like such a sweetheart, and I just wanted her to have a marriage that was really good, and this just wasn't it. But that's not to say that Eris is a villain either. I mean, really, in fact, in this show, like, there isn't even a villain. In previous seasons, typically in one couple, one partner emerges as like the clear-cut bad person, right? Like, they cheat or they ghost, or something happens. And yeah, I think people tried to bill him as this season's villain, but that also fell flat for me. Like, I think Eris gasses himself up a little bit, like I don't I don't necessarily know if he's gonna go back out there and like get all the ladies like he says he is. But you know who is happy about this? Felina. Felina is happy. I want Felina to come back for the reunion.
I'm surprised that they didn't bring her back at all.
Me too, because she was like the most interesting part of this show.
I also am like wondering, like, do one of your producers get fired halfway through the show? Because it just feels like things fell apart a little bit, or I don't know. I mean, do we have anything else left to say? Like,
no, I don't. They both said no.
They both said no. And like, really, on a logistic note, I don't know what we're gonna do for next episode, because all that's gonna happen is we'll find out that Shaq says yes or no. And then they're doing all the recap stuff, but we don't want to watch the recap stuff. So I guess we'll talk about it offline, if what we're gonna do.
We can talk about predictions. Okay, so who do we have left? We have Shaquille and Kirsten.
That's it. No, it's not even Shaquille and Kirsten. We just have Shaq. So they're making a whole episode. They called it part 1, but part 2 is just Shaq.
See, this is why this show has really gone downhill. Like, I just don't need an hour and a half of Shaquille. Not because I don't like Shaquille. I like Shaquille, but it's not that hard. Okay, like, what is your prediction, Dr. Molly?
I think he's going to say no, and I think he's actually going to be painted kind of as a little mini villain of like, we can't believe you said no. And he's like, and I think he's going to stand firm and be like, that's what I believe in, and that's what I want to do.
Yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree.
The episode is that they're going to make them all get together like they always do. Like, do you remember the season with Iris and Keith, and then the whole group didn't know that Keith said no, and they go into the cookout and they're like, oh, where's Keith? And she's like, I don't know, he's not my husband anymore. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much all it's going to be, and then packing up their stuff and emotionally digesting. Oh no.
Okay, again, so the producers of Married at First Sight, nobody wanted this. It should have been one episode, and it should have been the finale. And then you could have one more for a reunion.
You're losing viewership because people online are really irritated. Like,
nobody wants this. Everybody knows Shaq is going to say no. There's not a world where he says yes. He doesn't like her.
Yeah, I know.
And he tells her, he's like, for me to say yes, I would have to be 100%. And then she's like, are you 100%? And he's like, I don't know. Well, that's a no. That's like what I said in the beginning, which is you have to have a clear yes if you're going to stay married or ask somebody to get married. And he's literally telling you, I don't know. That means I'm not saying yes. That means I'm saying no.
Can I say, though, that I thought that Shaq would probably say yes on D-Day and then just break up after. So
why?
I don't know. But I actually thought that might be a route that he went like a couple episodes ago. But then it became clear that I was like, he doesn't like her anymore. He's emotionally distancing.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I really like Shaq too. Like, I don't feel like he's that petty. Like, and when I say petty, I mean concerned about the viewership. Like, I feel like we're using all of our content for our next episode, but by projecting on what is going to happen with Shaquille. But I just feel like he is healthily secure within himself. And I think that he knows that even though he's getting an edit that makes him look like the person who is, going to break Kirsten's heart or something, that it's not really that. Like, he hasn't been mean to her. He hasn't wronged her in any way. He just doesn't want to stay married to her. And he has concrete, legitimate reasons.
Period. And I think he knows, and I don't mean this as like she's not valuable as a person, but I think he knows he can do better. He knows that he's like, there's someone out there who's going to be like, you're so sexy. Excuse me. Someone that's like, oh, I'm really impressed by what you do. Or I think, all these activities that you do, I really value you. I'm here for you. I think that he wants that. Like, there's just some people in the world who need to be adored by their partners. That's really not everyone too, by the way. Like, no, it's not everyone. I'm definitely one of those people. Just saying, Shaq. However, like, I think that she's someone she's like, oh, I didn't even know you wanted that. Like, I don't think that
Yeah.
she's aware like that in her relationships. And I think that she expects it, but I don't know if she knows how to give it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think my take on them is that she wants to be that prize, right? Like
Yeah.
in the dynamic, he wants somebody that, and they kind of talk about this when they talk about who's like the leader in the household, but I think that that's maybe the wrong way to put it, because it seemed to me when they were using the language they were using that it was more about like, are we going to have a male led patriarchal style household, or are we going to have a more sort of like equal between the genders household? I think that is the language that was used, but I think that's actually not what they're trying to say. I think what they're trying to say is he wants to be the prize to his wife, whoever that ends up being, and like she goes with him to his work functions. She supports him in doing his work functions. She comes and like takes care of his family, right? And then I think Kirsten wants the same thing going the opposite way, where she has a husband who's like, I just can't get over how hot you are, right? Let me buy you all these material things, like let me rub your feet. Like they both want to be the prize, if you will, and neither of them are giving that to either one of them. So
yeah, I mean, it's like that analogy that Chris Rock gave in like his like most recent stand-up, which is like there's a lead singer, and then some, like in a marriage you're singing or you're the tambourine player, and like if you're gonna play the tambourine, you have to play it so well, and you have to play it like no one's ever played it. And sometimes you might be the lead singer, but some relationships there's always just the lead singer and a tambourine player, or it switches. And I think they both want to be lead singer.
yeah.
I don't think they know how to be the other person.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why it's interesting that she ends up saying yes to him. But I think it's not really because she likes him. It's just for appearances. And yeah, I mean, I think you're right. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I think that's also the dynamic or the characteristic that the experts are picking up on. And they're saying this is what makes you a power couple. But it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. I think you're exactly right. Both Shaq and Kirsten want to be the lead singer, and they want a tambourine player in the back. And the experts thought that they were going to do a duet.
Yeah, wow, we're just really deep in this metaphor. I wonder though how much generational perceptions are playing into this, because I'm wondering if Dr. Pepper and oh my gosh, Pastor Cal, sorry, art semester just finished, so I'm like brain dead. I'm wondering how much they see like just two people in a hetero relationship, man and woman, just two people who have a career equals power couple. I really get that vibe. Like, you're a real estate agent and he works in academia. So like, and I talked about that before, like you're two young Black professionals who identify as Christian. And it's like, guess what? Those are a dime a dozen in Nashville, I'm sure. And all across the South. I'm just interested in the fact that the roles are reversed. Like in Black dating culture, there's so that, which is picked up and appropriated by popular culture, is so much of hinged on like the disposability of men in dating relationships. We can see this in t-shirts like dump him sis. We can see, this, I like when people say like next, right? Memes that say next and all of these things, it's all about like, if he doesn't do X, Y, and Z, you can find another one. Like, honey, you are a queen, you deserve everything. That's not realistic. And we come up in a generation where it's just swiping, swiping, swiping. There's always someone else. But the truth is like generationally, these power couples found one person, right? Probably through family or connections or in their community, and they made it work for a long time. It's a myth, the idea that people from previous generations were more compatible with each other than people are now. They just stuck it out for better or for worse. Like we can also unearth there's lots of toxicity in some of these relationships. We've talked about this. Length is not the indicator of a healthy relationship. But I like that in this role reversal, the disposability is he's like, no, I can do better and I will, like I deserve more. And I'm glad that it wasn't the other way around, just out of spite. My Black feminist spite.
See, but okay, the last thing I'll say about it though is that Eris and Jasmine, the other Black couple on the show, are not billed as a power couple, even though they're both professionals.
Yes.
Gina and Clint are both professionals. They're a white couple. They're not billed as a power couple. So, like, what is it about Shaq and Kirsten?
I think it's the cacophony. I think it's my other favorite C word, cornucopia of things, which is that I think they have Greek life affiliation. So I think that's part of it. It's like I said, it's like kind of the professionalism of the degree of job. Again, we've talked about this. If he were a K through 12 teacher, they wouldn't be a power couple, but his degree makes him, or his pursuit of that degree makes him a power couple. But that's a really great point, because with Eris and Jasmine, what do they bill them as? Oh, they even each other out. Not opposites per se, but that they even each other. And I think what they're really saying is that like there's a class match. And I would also say there's an emotional immaturity match. Like I'm a fan of Jasmine, but I don't think she's the most emotionally mature person. Whereas like with Kirsten, they eclipse all of her emotional immaturity with like her career and her very put togetherness. Yeah.
And I mean, I would say too that respectability politics play into it, right? Which is maybe what is coming forth with like the Greek life or the Southern thing. Because I think that's exactly why Jasmine and Eris are not billed as a power couple, is because Kirsten and Shaq perform respectability politics in a very different sort of way than Eris and Jasmine. And I think that's it.
I would even go as far just to say that Eris doesn't perform it, because if Jasmine were with Shaq, they'd be like, she's a beauty queen. She has all these businesses. Look how ambitious she is. But it's like, because Eris like says kind of like weird sex things off the cuff, and he's a little more like not as outspoken or put together. I wonder, like, again, I think it all boils down to they have some weird investment in, and like a respectability with Eris that they haven't been able to edit for. Edit out of him, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. And that was episode 19 and 20. Married at first sight.
Just to put a bow on it, like once again, no Indigenous representation. And then for what it's worth, even though I mentioned this before, there's no queer representation. So just wanted to put that out there.
No, it was really, really not a great season. And we have 3 more episodes. Let us know if you'd be offended if we put all of those in one recap episode for you. I feel like we just said everything we have to say about Shaquille and Kirsten. So I don't even know what we're going to talk about next episode, but you should still tune in because we're going to come up with something.
We will. I mean, maybe we'll do some sort of like shortened episode. It's kind of like unpacking how, I don't know, just like Married at First Sight, and talking more about what we talked about in our first episodes about the institution of marriage, how we think what we think the show could be or what it won't be when they have queer couples on, how we think that'll change the dynamic. If there's, I mean, hopefully it's a little more dramatic. We know how the queers do. So,
but of course, if you have any questions about the show or pieces of feedback, let us know and we can definitely talk about those as well. The best way to get us those questions would be to send us a DM or leave us a comment on our social media channels. And of course, you can find us on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at RLTY101.
And you can also subscribe to our Patreon for exclusive content on readings on the institution of marriage, on queerness, one-on-ones with us, and also episodes, or the video versions, I should say, of episodes for $1 a month, $3, $5, or $10. Like, this is chump change to help us become more resourced and this project more resourced. You are donating to Black and Indigenous public scholarship. Very feminist, very radical. We are for the people of Bravo and TLC. We saw a need and we're filling it. So please check us out on patreon.com/RLTY101 podcast. And if there's nothing else, you can sign us out, Dr. Wolf.
All right, class dismissed.